Maybach 6 Cabriolet. Next up, we're going to take a look at some concept cars, exploring what car companies think their vehicles will look like over the next 100 years. According to Mercedes, the Maybach 6 Cabriolet was designed to be timeless, a concept car that would have been seen as beautiful 100 years ago, and will still be seen as beautiful in 100 years. It's a 6-meter-long convertible, most of the length taken up by its massive hood. The car is easily big enough to fit 6 people, but it only holds 2, taking up the room with futuristic digital displays and bright blue lights. Pretty, right? Only 2 of the cabriolets have ever been made, and while the car isn't currently available to buy, it's already been used in music videos, and it's set to be used as Bruce Wayne's car in the upcoming DC movie, The Flash. That's right, it's a real-life Batmobile. Renault Trezor. Renault's conceptual take on the sports car of tomorrow might seem pretty ordinary, until you see somebody try and get in it. The Renault Trezor doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it does reinvent the door. The Trezor is a one-door car for 2 people. The entire top half of the car lifting up when the owners want to get inside. I call it the clam of the highway. If the Trezor's a clam, then where are the pearls? Well, its door might seem like a gimmick, but the few Trezors that Renault actually made were incredibly quick. They had a drag coefficient of 0.22, or in plain English, they were incredibly streamlined due to their lack of doors. Like you'd expect, the futuristic car is completely filled with touchscreens and computers, and it also features little Eiffel Towers on the hubcaps, making the Trezor one of the fastest, sleekest, and Frenchest concept cars around. The Mercedes AV-TR. If you think a collaboration between Mercedes-Benz and the James Cameron movie Avatar sounds insane, then you'd be correct. Regardless, the Mercedes AV-TR is the end result of this strange mashup, a concept car ripped straight out of a sci-fi film. The car is steered with a single flat joystick instead of a steering wheel, allowing you to tear through Pandora's highways with the flick of the wrist. Remember when I said the Renault Trezor doesn't reinvent the wheel? Well, the AV-TR does, carrying you around on 4 blue light-filled donuts. This unusual shape means that the wheels can rotate, allowing the AV-TR to drive sideways or even diagonally. Another totally unique feature are the 33 scales that run along the back of the car. Mercedes calls these scales bionic flaps, and they allow the driver to send signals to the outside world. When the car speeds up, the flaps become more streamlined, and when you brake, they flip up, letting other drivers know exactly what you're doing. An updated version of the car, showcased at the 2021 Munich Auto Show, can read your mind, for real. Once you stick some electrodes on your head and plug yourself in, the AV-TR uses something called a brain-computer interface to record your brain activity, allowing the driver to trigger some functions of the vehicle without moving a muscle. This new Matrix-style way of driving might just be the future of travel, but just try not to sneeze or you might set the windscreen wipers off. BMW Vision Next 100. If a car based on an alien planet isn't good enough for you, how about a car that looks like an actual spacecraft? For BMW's 100-year anniversary, they started to use the motto, "The Next 100 Years," exploring what BMW cars could look like in 3016. Apparently, that car is a self-driving 4-door sedan completely covered in lizard-like scales, with wheels enclosed in a protective casing. The interior and exterior of the Vision Next 100 is covered in metal triangles that move as the car turns and accelerates, making the car appear as if it's breathing. I can't tell if this is the coolest thing I've ever seen or the creepiest. The scales on the outside of the car are just for show, but the interior triangles flash red whenever there's an obstacle or hazard coming up in the road ahead, making sure that the driver is prepared for anything. The car is self-driving, but if the drivers of tomorrow want to get behind the wheel like Grandma used to, it features a steering yoke that automatically folds out of the dashboard. Once they get driving, The windscreen acts as a heads-up display, telling the driver when to brake and speed up, and showing them where they should drive on the road for maximum speed. The car also constantly scans the road, locking onto cyclists with a big red box. Unfortunately, thankfully, the car doesn't fire rockets at the cyclists. It simply warns the driver of a potential hazard. The scales inside the car also spinning around and flashing red. If these hazards disappear behind a wall or parked car, the BMW tracks them, making sure the cyclist or pedestrian doesn't suddenly spring out in front of you. Of course, we're a while away from this heads-up display technology being real yet. But with Tesla already blending the world of video games and driving, we may not be all that far off. Bentley AI concept. According to Bentley, none of the concepts we've seen so far are luxurious enough. To them, being that their brand name and the decadent custom cars they produce are almost synonymous with luxury, the effort of having to look at the road is too straining for their elite customers, and it'll soon be a thing of the past. Bentley's concept car for the future is completely open plan, featuring 4 seats gathered around a futuristic coffee table, with no steering column in sight. The star of the show is, of course, the little blue AI hologram butler in the middle, who you'll be able to look in the eye as you ask them to shuffle your retro mix of Justin Bieber and Ed Sheeran. Move along, MBUX. I've got a new best friend. Every car company seemingly has their own futuristic concept ideas, and new concept car designs appear on social media every day. The future looks bright and comfy. From mobile lounges stuffed inside limousines to self-driving cars overflowing with gadgets and pod-like seats, who knows what the elite will be driving in 10 years' time? I know one thing for sure. I definitely won't be able to afford one.